this look right here. That's the look of every single person inside the Lane Stadium at the end of that game.
Yeah. Yeah. We're kind of running out of things to say here, right?
Well, I mean, I think I heard the fans say it best at the end of the game after Syracuse scored that last touchdown. The chants were loud and clear of Fire Fuente. I'm not a fire the coach guy, Mike. I never have been. I never will be. But I mean, at this point, like, you're just inventing ways to lose at this point, aren't you? I mean, you've got a 6-point lead or whatever it was, 2-point lead, whatever. It doesn't even matter what the lead was. You have a lead, and you end up losing the game 41-36.
Yeah, it was the biggest thing for me is Virginia Tech has a 9-point lead, and they give up not one touchdown but 2 on defense. Yeah. And usually what we see, and I hate that it's like becoming a usually, this is what we see when Virginia Tech collapses, right. But what we saw in the Notre Dame game was, the touchdown, the 2-point conversion, and then a 3-and-out, right, sandwich in between. Right. This drive for Virginia Tech featured a first down, right? And Virginia Tech needed one first down to ice the game, one more first down to ice the game. Couldn't do it. Punted away. Syracuse had the ball with a minute to go after the Peter Moore punt. Yeah. And Virginia Tech's defense, like it had all day, let Syracuse march right up the field. And it's just, I tweeted this out, and I try to be, this year especially, I've tried to be careful about, tweeting my thoughts right after the game when it's fresh, because, you got to rewatch and kind of see, right. And let it marinate a little bit, right? But the one thing that is a takeaway for me that I tweeted out that I think I'll have the same feeling tomorrow, when I wake up, is it's something different every week, Mm-hmm. 1 week it's the offensive line not playing well. Offensive line played better today, right? 1 week it's the quarterback, right? Burmeister was okay today, certainly playing hurt, right? Yeah. 1 week it's the running game. Well, Malachi Thomas, true freshman, had 3 touchdown runs today. Coming out party, one of the few bright spots offensively all season for the Hokies. Right. And then even when you've seen the defenses play well, like today it wasn't going to be their day. So it's just something different every week, and I think that's why some sort of change needs to be made. And Paul, I think I would do it before the end of the season. I'm not usually that guy, but I think it's on the table now. I do think it's on the table now for sure. I mean, I don't know how you don't at this point, and I'm the same way, right? Like that's never been my thing. My dad is a big fire the coach guy, and it always drives me nuts because it's like, what is that going to do? It's you're not going to really achieve anything. Yeah, you might light a little bit of a fire under the backside of a few players, but I mean, at this point, what does it matter? Our colleague Aaron McFarland from the Roanoke Times and the Richmond Times-Dispatch wrote an article that I thought was really, really good. I referenced it during the pregame show today that, they're the 5 things that Justin Fuente needs to do to keep his job. Yeah, it was very good. Number 1 on that list was to go 5-1 in the last 6 games, all winnable games. And going 0-1 today wasn't... It's not the start you want, right? Not the start you want. And the issue is that going 5-1 on paper seems feasible. The problem is Virginia Tech is not playing well enough situationally right now to win those 50-50 type football games. And this is the 3rd time we've seen it crop up in a loss. But we've certainly seen the situational football plague Virginia Tech in wins as well, right? I mean, we saw it in that uninspiring offensive effort against Richmond in late September. So, situational football has cost Virginia Tech 3 football games this year. 2 of them were at home, and Virginia Tech's now lost 3 straight home games. And the one that, the one that was kind of sandwiched in between these 2 heartbreakers was a blowout last Saturday. Right. Virginia Tech was never competitive. Right. So it's tough. I mean, it's a tough look for the coaching staff that, certainly the players were still playing hard today, and there's no quit in the players, but I really do wonder if you're a player, it's like, man, everything's against us. Like, how do we get a win? Because I thought Virginia Tech offensively today was much better, being able to establish a running game. Yeah.
this is kind of what they were looking for all year long, like find a way to establish the run. And for Malachi Thomas to break out the way that he did, for the offensive line, which, had some issues in pass protection, but I thought was really good running the football today. Just really solid run blocking for them to play the way that they did, and for Virginia Tech to lose this game still is a really tough look.
Wayne, I like the text message. Can Bud come in and interim for the next 3 years until Ham is ready? I mean,
good.
I don't know that that's the succession plan that you necessarily want, but
no, I think we're done. And I you bring up the Hamilton thing real quick. I think everybody who was saying, yeah, fire Fuente and make Hamilton the head coach. I think we can probably table that for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty bad today.
Yeah.
Defensively.
The issue is too, and you mentioned if not now, when. I see. Here's the problem, right? Like let's take a look at what's available on this coaching staff. If you fire Fuente today, if you fire Fuente tomorrow, if you fire Fuente in 3 weeks, who takes over, right? Like, I mean, is Justin Hamilton ready? Hell no, he's not ready, man. Like, he was barely ready to take over as defensive coordinator, but, Virginia Tech was like, you know what, we're going to give this guy a shot. So is Brad Cornelson ready? Good God, no. We know that that's not the case.
Right.
So now you're starting to look at, like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Vance Weiss with the hat backwards running the show here, but, I mean, who runs this team in a situation where you let Fuente go? I think, unfortunately, Mike, you as Hokie Nation, y'all just got to ride this thing out, man. Like,
yeah, I think so. And I said there needs to be a change, and I think I'm against midseason firings because, like you said, it doesn't. You're quitting on the players too. Right. Yeah. And I think it sends a bad message. But, if the players are quitting anyway,
sure.
I mean, how big of a difference does it ultimately make? I'm with you. I think that the writing is certainly on the wall, right? You're not going to come back from this.
Right.
You're not going to come back from losing to Pittsburgh by 3 scores, following up by losing, blowing a 9-point lead with 2 minutes left. And, they blew a 8-point lead against Notre Dame. You're not going to come back from that, So, yeah, I mean, it's just piling up, it's piling up.
Yeah, it is. You got to give credit where credit is due, though, right? Like Syracuse, Garrett Schrader threw for 236 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Best passing game of the year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he's thrown for 236 yards in 2 games combined this season. So for him to come out and do that, they did rush for 329 yards. I mean, Schrader accounted for, I'm not good at math, 400 yards, 236 and 177. Yeah, that's about 400 yards. I mean, we said in the pregame show you can't let Sean Tucker beat you. Well, I don't know that Sean Tucker beat him, but Garrett Schrader, 400 yards plus and 5 touchdowns.
Virginia Tech's front 6 in that 4-2-5 I thought got exposed today.
Yeah.
And, that was a question coming in, right? Was Virginia Tech's front, not only the defensive line, but the linebackers as well, were they going to be able to stop this rushing attack for 4 quarters?
Right.
The answer was no. I mean, everybody piles on the offense, right, all year. Rightfully so. Offense has not been very good. This was the defense's problem today. You can't give up almost 600 yards to Syracuse. Can't do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, you mentioned earlier, Mike, too, the defense didn't play terrible. Braxton Burmeister was 10 of 20. That's 50%, 177 and a touchdown. I don't know, like, if you're looking for more than that out of Braxton Burmeister, you're definitely looking in the wrong place. I mean, that's a good game for him. Malachi Thomas, as you mentioned, has the breakout performance, $153 on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Raheem Blackshear rushes for 78 yards. Brax goes for 42 on the ground. So, I mean, the Hokies had 300 yards of offense on the ground. I have to imagine, and I'm just spitballing here, if you go back through the history of college football, especially modern day college football, since, say, 1990 and beyond, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find games where a team rushes for 300 yards and loses a game.
Yeah. And this was the first time Virginia Tech's offense as a whole went over 400 yards this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this was a breakout day for the Virginia Tech offense, especially on the ground, and to still find a way to lose that game is pretty disheartening. And look, I think by and large, like I said, coming into this game, I thought by and large this year the Virginia Tech defense has been good, right?
Right.
But there have been times where you look at the defense, you're like, what are they doing, right? First quarter against West Virginia, right? Parts of the second half against North Carolina, and Middle Tennessee State there for a little bit. Like, there have been times this year where it's like, man, what is the defense doing? And then Pittsburgh, of course, last week, the defense was kind of playing hands tied behind their back because the offense was so inept. So I got to give credit to Virginia Tech offensive coaching staff for bouncing back after a really poor showing last week. I think that the offense came out and played very well. It was pretty disheartening to see that defensive performance, once the offense finally starts clicking a little bit, at least showing signs of life, the defense kind of rolls over and turns in that performance. Really, really disappointing.
You want some even worse statistical news? You know me, Mike. I'm a baseball guy. I love the stats, right?
Yeah, right.
Fourth down efficiency, Syracuse, 4 for 4.
Yeah.
Third down efficiency, 7 of 17. And red zone efficiency, 3 of 4.
Yeah.
You got to get off the field, man.
Got to get off the field. Yeah, I was. I listened to a decent amount of this game on the radio. John Laser was, on the call, of course, like he always is with Mike Burnup. And they brought up a great point and it was after one of Syracuse's. I think Syracuse had just converted to go 3 for 3 on third down, so of course they had one more later. Right. But he mentioned, if Virginia Tech were to lose this game, one of the bigger stories was going to be the fact they couldn't get off the field on 4th and short. And that is absolutely a huge storyline coming out of this football game. The fact that Syracuse picked up all 4 of their 4th down conversions.
You give a team another set of downs 4 times in the game. I mean, they're going to take advantage of that, even if they only take advantage of it once. I mean, it was a 1-score game. That's the difference right there. Yeah, you've got to get off the field.
Got to get off the field. Couldn't get off the field all day. I thought in spots Virginia Tech's defense played well, but then other times they just didn't, and they just could not get themselves off the field. And it's again, comes down to situational football. A lot of times we're talking about it on the offensive side, but I think on the defensive side, situational football failed Tech today.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, I mean, it was both halves. Wayne Texan, he makes a good point. The end of the first half, there were debacles. The end of the game, there were debacles. It just felt like a comedy of errors out there, as far as not only the coaching, but the play on the field. Just the whole thing just seemed a miss during the entirety of that game.
Yeah. I mean, pretty stunning that the defense turned in that performance.
Yeah.
It was stunning. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It was stunning.
So now the Hokies start going out on the road. They play 4 of their next 5 on the road, including games against Miami, Boston College, Georgia Tech, and UVA. They do have Duke here at home. At this point, is there anything, Mike, that you've seen from this squad that leads you to believe that in the next 5 games they can come away with a winning record?
I mean, for Tech to come away with a winning record at this point, they're 3-4. They have 5 games remaining. They got to win 4 out of the last 5 games.
Yeah.
To go 7-5.
I mean, but here's the thing, right? Look at the teams that they're playing. I just rattled them off. Like, these aren't world beaters, right? Like,
right. These
are teams that are on the same level, or maybe even a little bit below Virginia Tech. But you gotta perform on the field.
For sure. Yeah, and that's why I think the answer is no, because I think Virginia Tech is not going to win all their 50-50 games.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not going to win all their 50-50 games, and that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, Virginia Tech should beat Duke, but Georgia Tech's a toss-up. Miami is probably going to be a toss. We'll see how Miami looks later against NC State, but that's probably going to be a toss-up. The UVA game, Tech's going to be the underdog, so we'll see.
Wayne's wife wants to see Tucker. Can you get Tucker in the shot? Is there any way that we can
he's under my feet right now. I keep trying to wrangle him because he's
I'm getting text messages that they want to see your dog or cat, whatever you seem to be distracted.
I will share a picture when I can. Yeah.
Tucker is a golden retriever. He's what? He's about 90 pounds.
He is. Oh no, he's actually lost some weight. He's 75 pounds. He turns
75-pound golden retriever.
He turns 4 years old in January. So he's a little older than 3.5.
And he's just a bundle of neurotic energy.
Yes, for sure, no doubt about it.
Tucker's probably mad the Hokies lost. That's the problem, man.
That among other things. He just gets mad when I get on a phone call or video call, so it makes work meetings challenging.
There you go. It's all good. Yeah. It's all good. Okay, so next week we'll have a Hokie House pregame show for everyone. Today's pregame show was very downtrodden. I don't know that next week's is going to be much more hype, boys and girls.
I don't think so.
But we'll be there. And we'll have the pregame show for you. Mike and I will be back here on the Voice of College Football with Postgame. Also, we'll have the pregame show here from Hokie House, also on the Voice of College Football. Mike, I really don't have much else to say about this game. I mean, let's see if they can find another way to lose next week.
Right. We'll see what happens. It's a tough watch right now.
It is. Good news for me. Michigan Wolverines won.
They look good today.
They did look good, especially in the second half. Michigan State next week. Top 10 matchup in East Lansing.
Huge game on Saturday.
I'm glad the Hokies are on the road, so I don't have to worry about watching.
Yeah, that'll be a night game. That Michigan State game, I think.
I doubt it. It's going to end up being because it's going to be on the Big Ten Network. They're going to make it a big noon game. It's either that or the Penn State Ohio State game. But Penn State just lost to Illinois in
7 overtimes,
4th overtime or something like that.
7 OTs. And it was, I think it was 18-16 was the final score.
I believe so.
Had to go for 2, starting in 3rd overtime, and neither team could convert. It was one of the ugliest games I've ever watched.
We know all about that here at Lane Stadium. We saw that a couple of years ago with North Carolina. That was that 6 overtime game.
But at least it was high scoring.
Yeah, it was high scoring. Yeah, that Illinois Penn State game was a rock fight. That was what that was.
Yes. Yeah. To put it nicely, no doubt about it.
Let me ask you this before we wrap this up. You see a lot of points by the offense. Defense gave up a lot of points. If you look at this game from a standpoint of not a Hokie or not an Orange, just a college football fan, were you at least entertained by today's game?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think you got more than what you thought you were going to get out of Virginia Tech Syracuse game, for sure. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If you could find the game on television, that was an issue for everybody.
Well, that's because they put it on, what is it, RSN or whatever. I didn't even know.
Regional sports networks. So, My 20 or Mid-Atlantic Sports Network or wherever you find it. Yeah.
Get yourself YouTube TV. I think they have it on there. I don't know.
Did not.
Did they not?
Did not. I have YouTube TV. Was unable to get. I had to find a stream. So
I got some bootleg streams that I use for that kind of stuff, but you got to make sure you don't care about your computer because those streams tend to dump spyware all over the place on you. So not much you can do about that. All right, I'll let you go. Tucker needs to go for a walk. I'm going to go home to my 2 dogs and my wife. You have a great night, and I don't know, have a drink or 2 to try to watch.
Gonna have to. I don't know how else we recoup from just watching that. Another loss inside Lane Stadium.
Oof, rough. All right, Mike McDaniel, I'm Paul Van Wagner. Thanks for tuning in to the Voice of College Football, the Hokie Postgame Show. Again, we'll be back next week with the pregame show from Hokie House. Mike and I will have the postgame show for you, probably from our respective living rooms. Is this the garage? Is this what I'm seeing?
It is.
It is.
Okay. Yep, it is the garage. Yeah.
How did Tucker end up in the garage? That's what I want to know. Kate's failing as a dog mom.
She's upstairs napping, so I'm on dog duty.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll talk to you next week. You take care of yourself.
Appreciate it.